Ever get that feeling, where you want to go deeper with something, really understand the story behind it, the craft?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what we're doing today. We're taking a deep dive into Scotch whiskey, specifically through the lens of Douglas Laing Co.
Yeah, they're a really interesting company. We've been looking at their website and also some info specifically on their Clan Denny Collection. It gives you a great picture of what an independent bottler with a long history is all about.
Okay, so Douglas Laing Co. sounds established. And they are, right? Founded. When was it?
1948.
Mm-hmm.
And they've stayed family-owned, which is quite something, now in the third generation.
Wow, over 70 years. That's some serious heritage. And their philosophy seems, well, pretty straightforward. Presenting whiskey as the distiller intended.
Exactly. That's the core idea. No adding stuff, no taking stuff away. Just the whiskey, pure and simple.
What does that mean in practice, though, for someone drinking it?
It signals a huge respect for the original spirit and the cask's influence. So think things like non-chill filtration and natural color. They want you to taste what the distiller in time created.
Right, I've heard those terms. Non-chill filtered means they don't filter it cold, which can sometimes remove flavor elements.
Precisely. Chill filtration can prevent haze if the whiskey gets cold, but it might strip out some fatty acids and esters, things that contribute to the taste and texture. Natural color just means the color comes only from the wood, no caramel coloring added.
Okay, got it. So pure expression. Makes sense. Let's look at their website then to see how this plays out across their range. It seems pretty well organized.
Yeah, they break it down quite nicely.
Up top, there's a Scotch whiskey specialist selection. What's under that?
Well, you've got quite a mix. Things like Rangers FC Bottling, their own Strathern Single Malt, King of Scots Blend, Private Stock, Double Barrel, and Clan Denny, which we'll get back to, plus a new products section.
Interesting mix. The Rangers one shows a local tie, I guess, and Strathern is their own distillery, isn't it?
Yes, they acquired Strathern a few years back, so it shows both their bottling expertise and now their own distillation.
Okay, then there's regional malts. This seems key to understanding Scotch.
Absolutely. Their remarkable regional malt series is, well, remarkable for showcasing them.
The names kind of give it away. Big Peat.
Instantly Islay, right, that smokiness.
Yeah. Then Scallywag, that sounds maybe richer. Speyside. Timorous Beastie for Highlands.
You've got it. Rock Island for the island's maritime notes, the Epicurean for the lowlands, and the Goldrons for Campbelltown.
It's like a tasting map of Scotland.
Yeah.
A really smart way to introduce regional differences.
It is. And these are blended malts, so they combine single malts from within each region to create a consistent profile that represents that area. It's a great starting point for exploring.
So you get that Islay peat from Big Peat, maybe from several Islay distilleries blended together.
Exactly. Capturing that regional essence. The peat smoke comes from drying the barley over peat fires, whereas Speyside often uses different water, maybe longer fermentation, giving you those fruitier, sometimes lighter styles.
Cool. Okay, so after regions, what if you want something really specific?
Then you head to single casks. This is where it gets unique to one specific barrel.
And they have different series here, too. Exceptional single casks, old particular, extra old particular. Sounds even older.
Yeah, the names definitely hint at age and perceived quality. XOP Black, Provenance, Premier Barrel, or others.
What might make an old particular different from, say, Provenance? Just age?
It's likely a combo. Age is definitely a factor, so
Yeah.
XOP would be older, rarer casks. But it could also be cask type or just the bottler thinking, wow, this cask is really special. Each one is unique. That's the magic of single casks. The wood, what was in it before, warehouse conditions, it all plays a part.
Right. And you can also shop by region directly. Speyside, Highland, Lowland, Campbelltown, Islay, Islands. That's handy if you find a region you love.
Or by age. They break it down from up to 10 years all the way to 40 years plus.
40 years plus. Wow.
Yeah, serious investment territory there.
And they also have basic categories like blended malt, single grain. So it helps you navigate based on what type of whiskey you're after. It feels really thought through.
It does. Very user-friendly, caters to different levels of knowledge.
And it's not just about the whiskey itself, is it? They have a whole gifts section.
Mm-hmm. Gift ideas, sets, digital gift cards, even broken down by price point. Under 50 pounds, 100 pounds, 200 pounds. Makes gifting easier.
Yeah, and the birthdays and anniversary section is a nice touch. Specific ages like 18, 21, 25, 30, 40-year-old bottlings.
Imagine getting a whiskey as old as you are for a milestone birthday. That's pretty special.
Definitely. Then there's gift by brand, which loops back to things like Big Peat, Scallywag, XOP Black, but also includes their other stuff like Garden Shed Gin.
Right. It shows that while Scotch is their heartland, they do have other interests.
Which brings us to the gin and spirits section. It's not just Scotch whiskey they offer.
No, they have their own Garden Shed gin and bistro vodka, but also distribute others like Fillier's Gin and Vodka, Tequila Mockingbird, great name, Rum Melicon, even Bosch Gabrielson Cognac.
So quite a portfolio beyond whiskey now.
It shows they understand the broader quality spirits market. Then there's another shop by brand list, reinforcing all these different options.
Okay, so that gives us a really good overview of the sheer breadth of what Douglas Laing offers. It's huge.
It really is.
Now, let's narrow down and focus on one collection we mentioned, Clan Denny. You said this connects back to their history.
Yeah, Clan Denny is really core to their identity as independent bottlers, going right back to 1948. According to Whisky.dk, this is where they built their reputation for picking out exceptional single casks. The series really highlights that skill.
And within Clan Denny, there's a small batch series. What's the idea there?
It features limited releases, often combining a small number of casks of both single malts and sometimes blended malts. They specifically mention Speyside and Islay expressions within this.
Two very different regions. What are the Clan Denny Speysides like?
They're described pretty classically. Soft, fruity character, notes of honey, malt, vanilla, maybe a soft spice, gentle smoke hint, sweet, lasting finish. Importantly, bottled at 40% ABV and non-chill filtered.
There's that non-chill filtered point again. Seems crucial to their approach.
It really is. It's about preserving that full flavor profile.
Okay, and the Islay small batch, predictably different.
Oh, yeah. Definitely leaning into that smoky maritime Islay style. Full flavor, they say, with citrus and sweetness balancing the smoke. Long, dry, smoky finish. Also 40% ABV, so you get that strong regional character.
It's not just Speyside and Islay, though, is it? They do Highlands, too.
They do. The Highland small batch single malts are noted for elegance, sort of classic Highland finesse. Think honey, ripe fruits, spices on the nose, then rich malt, dried fruit, maybe some caramelized oak on the palate. A long, fruity finish balanced with nutty notes. Sounds lovely, actually.
It really does. So the small batch series is kind of like a curated tour of Scotland's flavors.
That's a perfect way to see it. It lets you explore those regional nuances without getting lost in hundreds of single distillery options. It highlights the craft and character from each area.
Beyond small batch, what else is in Clan Denny? You mentioned aged grains.
Yes, the Clan Denny aged grains. This is interesting because grain whiskey often flies under the radar compared to single malts.
Right. It's usually seen as just for blends.
Exactly. But Douglas Laing highlights that when grain whiskey is aged for a long time, they mentioned 37 years, plus it develops this really impressive profile. Fruity, round, complex, quite elegant.
So they're championing aged grain whiskey as something special in its own right.
Absolutely. It shows its potential for depth when given enough time and good casks.
This all seems to circle back to their main philosophy, doesn't it? Quality, authenticity, history.
It really does. Complexity, depth, letting the spirit shine. And that commitment across the Clan Denny range, non-chill filtered, natural color, reinforces that dedication to, well, the real deal.
These are definitely whiskeys aimed at people who want to taste the spirit as naturally as possible, you'd say.
Without a doubt. For collectors, yes, but also just for anyone who enjoys appreciating the nuances that come from good distillation, good wood, and time without any cosmetic adjustments.
So, thinking about you listening right now, why should all this Douglas Laing info matter? Well, if you value that pure, unfiltered kind of whiskey experience,
then that non-chill filtered natural color approach, especially in Clan Denny, is a really strong signal. It points towards authenticity.
And if you're curious about how different parts of Scotland taste in whiskey form,
then the Clan Denny Small Batch series, with its Speyside fruitiness, Islay smoke, Highland elegance, it's a fantastic, accessible way in. You can really start picking out those regional signatures and see what clicks for you.
Definitely. And just the sheer variety. Douglas Laing offers regional malts, single casks, those intriguing aged grains means there's so many paths for discovery, lots of potential for those aha moments when you find a style you love. Hopefully this has given you a bit of a shortcut, maybe, to understanding a really significant name in Scotch whiskey, a company with deep roots and a clear passion.
Yeah. Summing it up, Douglas Laing Co. offers this incredible landscape of Scotch whiskey, all underpinned by respect for the spirit. Clan Denny really exemplifies this, focusing on regional character, celebrating aged grains, and always aiming for that natural presentation.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, think about this. Considering everything we've discussed about Douglas Laing, the regions, the aged grains, and Clan Denny, what specific style or flavor profile maybe sparks your curiosity now? Is it the peat of Islay, the elegance of the Highlands, the complexity of an old grain? And what might you discover if you decided to explore that path a bit further? Maybe with a brand like Douglas Laing, something to ponder.